Hello everyone, my name is Abby Bliss White and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be testing out, this is the Tom Ford Soft Matte Concealer. This just recently launched. I was very excited about it. I am a huge fan of the Traceless foundation stick, and when I was reading about the concealer, that this was supposed to be a soft matte finish, but that it was infused with skincare and that it had hydrating properties, I was like, I am gonna have to try this because I often like to use my concealer sort of all over my face just to sort of have easy makeup, and I thought, ooh, this might be perfect. So I did go down, play with a couple different shades. So I will let you know what shade I picked out, and then I also thought I would do a comparison with the Cle De Peau the concealer, because it does sort of seem like it is a dupe for the Cle De Peau, which has been a long time favorite. So I'll actually do a little comparison between these two as well, and show you a few other swatches of other concealers that I have as far as trying to get a shade match. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about the new Tom Ford Soft Matte Concealer, then let's go ahead and get started. Okay, I am so excited because we have the new Tom Ford. This is the Traceless Soft Matte Concealer. And when I saw it, I was a little bit intrigued. Now, I do get thrown off by the word matte because I tend to always like things that are a little bit more hydrating and glowy. But this concealer is supposed to be infused with skincare benefits and is supposed to hydrate the skin while providing you with some buildable coverage. So it sounded like it was going to be similar to the Cle De Peau the concealer, longtime favorite. And to be honest, I really like to use this not only as concealer but kind of as foundation. So I was a little bit excited because I thought that these kind of sounded like similar products, but the shade range within the Tom Ford is much more expansive. There is 20 different shades available, from very, very pale to deep skin tones. So you're going to have a bit more of a shade choice with the Tom Ford. And when I went to Nordstrom to go and pick up my shade, she did not have all the testers out, and so I unfortunately could not swatch them all for you. She did go and grab a few that would be similar to my skin tone, and what we landed on as far as shades for myself, we ended up going with Creme, which is 2 in O, and this is going to be for light to medium skin tones. So on the Nordstrom website, they actually have a shade conversion guide. For myself, I actually have the Traceless foundation stick in Creme, and if I use the conversion guide here, it would say to pick up 1WO Ecra, and we did pull that out and swatch it, but we both felt like the Creme was a better match for myself. I personally don't like to go super bright underneath my eyes, just because I personally feel like it emphasizes my wrinkles a bit more. And honestly, between the Ecra, we also looked at Silk. The Ecra was just a little bit more warm and peachy, whereas the shade Creme was a bit more neutral. So let me give you a swatch. This is the shade Creme, And I will tell you that the formula is super creamy. It feels super hydrating. Like, that's why I was so excited about this. I don't know if you can see on camera, but there's almost a bit of a glow with this. So this is a soft matte. It's not going to be a dry matte. And then I'm going to go ahead and swatch my Cle De Peau. I have this one in beige, and I'll give you a little swatch of that. So this one is creme in the Tom Ford. This one is beige, a little bit more pink here. And then I pulled out two of my other favorite concealers at the moment. I love the Chanel. This is the Sublimage Le Correcteur Je, and this one is in B20. And then I have the Forever Skin Correct down at the bottom. So this is 2N, very neutral right here. And actually I would think that the creme and the Dior kind of in that neutral zone here. Then the beige definitely here. This is my Cle De Peau beige. And then over here is my Sublimage, and that's in B20. So you can see the differences, and I tend to love this one as my all over my face. Like, all of these kind of concealers work. And if you're having a good skincare day and you're just wanting to spot correct kind of underneath your eyes, just where you need it, you might end up loving this Tom Ford concealer. So from these swatches, the 2N Dior is going to be the darkest. You're going to get this creme, which is more neutral here, and then you can tell that my B20 and my beige in the Cle De Peau, those ones are going to be similar with a little bit more of a pink undertone there. Okay, so I don't have any foundation on my skin yet. I was going to go ahead and use this concealer and then pop on a little bit of my stick as well. So let me go ahead and I'm going to put a little bit right here in this dark area, a little bit over here. It's so creamy, you guys. I'm going to put some right here, and I'm going to kind of highlight just a little bit. And then you can use your fingertip here, and you can see, you guys, it really does feel very hydrating. And I'm just going to pat that in with my finger first, right here. Just want you to show you how easy this is blending out. So super creamy. I'm going to use this Rephr number 36 and just sort of blend this in. Okay, definitely see an improvement, a little bit of brightness underneath the eyes. And what I will tell you is that it just glides on like kind of butter. Like, it's very creamy. Again, this is what, again, hoping you can see this, but it's just really super creamy. Very flexible, so really nice and easy just to kind of dab on the skin. Now I am going to use a bit of my Tom Ford stick. I also have this in the shade Creme, and that's 1.5. I'm just going to put on a little bit of foundation, just a tad here. Because I haven't done that yet, I did go ahead and put a little bit of my eyeballs on, and I just want to even out my skin tone just a bit. Okay, quick, easy makeup here. I am going to pop a little blush on right here and give myself a little bit of color here, just kind of what I would normally do. And I just wanted to show you what this looks like so far on more mature dry skin underneath the eyes. But I really have to say I like this. I think the color is a pretty darn good match. As I said, the ecru was just a bit more warm. And when we tried the silk, we almost went with that one, but we ended up liking the way that the creme just sort of looked a little bit glowier on my skin. So this is what this looks like, and then what I thought I would do is take one side off and show you what the Cle De Peau looks like, so you can kind of see what that comparison is. But I always like to kind of show you up front what this looks like just directly on both eyes. So this is the Tom Ford Soft Concealer on both eyes, and then we will pop on the beige. Now, as you will notice, the creme color is going to be more neutral. The Cle De Peau in beige is going to be a bit more, have a bit more pink undertones, and I'm hoping you'll be able to see sort of the difference between the formulas. Okay, here is what this looks like after having it on for about 4 hours. And usually within an hour, I can kind of tell whether a concealer is going to be creasing underneath my eyes. And so what I love about this is that it's very flexible. It seems to be kind of working with my wrinkles and such, but it is staying in place and it is definitely more brightening. And I have been wearing this for the last few days since I picked it up, and I can tell you that it wears very consistently. So you're going to know whether or not it is going to kind of sink in to wrinkles and things like that. But again, the word soft matte made me a little concerned. So far, I've been really loving this concealer. So what I thought I would do now is I'm going to take my Bioderma and I will actually take off both sides. I'll put one side with the Cle De Peau. You can see the Tom Ford once again with application. Again, the shades are not going to be exact, so that will color the way that you think about these concealers, because if it's two different shades, you might prefer the shade that has a little bit more of a rosy undertone, the beige in the Cle De Peau. Let me just take this off real quick. Okay, no concealer under either eye, and we'll start with the Tom Ford, and I'll put it on my right eye over here. Okay, this is the Tom Ford side with creme. And now we're going to use Cle De Peau. And again, I have this in the shade beige. And you can see this is the shade beige, a little bit more of a rosy undertone. And this is the shade creme, more neutral. So that's what I'm saying is you might like the shade better under the eye versus this, but I will see, I'm trying to see if you can see, as far as consistency, the Tom Ford, I don't know if you can see this on camera, but it's got this very hydrating, almost glossy look to it versus my Cle De Peau, which I love. And again, that just blends out beautifully as well. But it's just a little bit more flat versus the Tom Ford. So let's put this on. Okay, I'm going to see if you can even tell from the bullet. Do you see how this one's just a little bit more glossy, and this one's going to be a more opaque versus the Cle De Peau, which is amazing, but it is a bit more opaque. I feel like there is actually more coverage with the Cle De Peau. Okay, we have the Cle De Peau on this side, and then we have the Tom Ford on my right side. And I think it is funny because I'm actually liking the coverage of the Cle De Peau side. I definitely can build this up, but as I said, I think this comparison is a little bit off because my Tom Ford is in creme, which is kind of more of a neutral shade, and then the beige is definitely going to give me a little bit of that rosy undertone. I'm just gonna kind of come up here and show you between these two. I'm gonna see what you guys think. So what I will tell you is that the Tom Ford concealer like feels a little bit more moisturizing. It feels more flexible underneath the eyes. And then the Cle De Peau, I wouldn't necessarily say it feels dry underneath the eyes, but in general, I love to use the concealer more like on my face, and then I have their Radiant Eye Concealer that I like to use under my eyes, but when I need more coverage, I do use the concealer. So what I'm going to tell you is Cle De Peau is still amazing, and this one also has an SPF in it. But if you are looking for something that is creamy, hydrating, and you want more of a medium coverage with a little bit of flexibility in here, like I feel like this one is not going to sink into my wrinkles per se. Like I think that it's just going to kind of work with it. All concealers are gonna, I don't think there's any miracle concealer where it doesn't necessarily crease. But this one does really feel amazing. It does feel very hydrating, whereas this one I wouldn't say that it feels hydrating or anything. And then one last thought I have is that if I had purchased this in silk, the silk had a little bit more of that sort of rosy undertone. I feel like it would match just a bit more with the beige, because the beige is definitely tad bit lighter, tad bit rosier, but the creme is going to be your sort of classic neutral shade. Okay, those are my thoughts so far. Let me know which side you prefer. Again, keeping in mind that the colors were not identical. And let me know if you're planning on picking this concealer up. I'd be curious to see what others think. This kind of makes me want to go to Nordstrom and actually bring my beige and sort of match this to whatever the kind of equivalent would be. So at the time that I showed up, the poor woman was like, we just got them, they're upstairs, they're not even out on the floor yet. And I'm like, you gotta go grab them because I need this for a video. So we'll do a little bit more investigation, but if you have picked this up and you're my skin twin, let me know what color you picked up. But so far I am loving the feel of this Tom Ford concealer, kind of a little bit excited about it, and I'm not someone who generally loves concealer. So I'll continue to play with this, and I will use this in a upcoming video, again, along with some other beauty products, just so you can see it in action a couple different times. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I will be back with another video soon.